just changes things.
This is a THORnews presentation.
Deal with it.
Wait.
Starting to see pictures, ain't you?
It almost feels like an evil sci-fi villain has his hand on the dial, controlling the wacky weather and disasters that are happening across Earth.
We are, all of you know it, on the edge of a climatic abyss. In fact, we have 500 days to avoid a climate chaos.
You obey.
Climate chaos. Well, ain't that a fine how do you do? And what does that mean, man?
You have until the sands run out.
Go ahead, yeah. Take your 5.5 trillion and let my people go. What do you got for me?
Good morning, folks.
Are you cool?
Hey, everybody.
It's a heads up.
Because I'm going to be dropping some hard THORnews science upon you.
Stay cool. Hit the button, baby.
Well, this is space. There's space all over the place.
Hell yeah, we're flying now.
THORnews presents
Doom, doom, doom-be doom, doom, doom-be do-ah-ha. Ladies and gentlemen, we're over at Zillow, a great place to buy, rent, or sell a home. And today, they're talking about climate change and housing. Will a rising tide sink all homes? With all the flooding going on lately, it seems like a very poignant and topical topic. So let's get into the topography. Is topography a word? This falls under Home Forecasting, Real Estate, and Rental Trends by Krishna Rao a couple days ago. If sea levels rise as much as climate scientists predict by the year 2100, which is 83 and a half years from now, almost 300 U.S. cities would lose at least half of their homes, and 36 U.S. cities would be completely lost. Now I want to point out, we are both a society and a generation who only seems to really care about today and possibly tomorrow, but not much after that. So if it's not going to affect people today, most people ain't going to care. Like, why do I care what happens to our country 80 years from now? And personally, I'm more worried about the next 2 or 3 years than I am 80 years down the road. Also, one of the things that I have said repeatedly at THORnews is probably a good time to get off the coasts. And I wouldn't be surprised if we see an entire city underwater, majorly flooded in the very near future. So, we may disagree on the reason and the cause, but NASA, me, and climate scientists agree that it is FUBAR, fudged up beyond all recognition, and we better watch out. Also, the North Pole is moving pretty fast these days. Crazy stuff going on with the magnetics. 1 in 8 Florida homes would be underwater, accounting for nearly half of the lost housing value nationwide. The median value of a home at risk of being underwater is $296,296. And the value of the average U.S. home is $187,000. You know, typically when we talk about underwater homes, we are generally referring to negative equity. But there is, of course, a more literal way a home can be underwater. We're talking about rising sea levels, and when sea levels rise, river levels rise as well. And the flooding likely to come with them could inundate millions of U.S. homes worth hundreds of billions of dollars. Though maybe by then, the dollar would depreciate so much that would only be like a $20 bill today. I'm just kidding. Like, the odds of the dollar still existing 80 years from now is almost zero. I don't even know if it's going to make it through this decade. Fiat currency calculations. One of the things that's made me lose a night of sleep each week. In fact, based on our calculations, it may turn out to be that actual water poses almost as much of a problem for the housing market in the futures as negative equity has in the past. I don't know if you remember the crash of 2008. It was really bad. Everybody got scared, and the entire economy as we knew it almost collapsed. What have we done to repair that? Thrown trillions of dollars straight at the banks. And now everything's hunky-dory. See the new record levels in our stock markets. Asterisk, we didn't fix anything. We just made it worse. So the next crash will be nasty. To quantify the impact of rising sea levels, we used maps released by the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration, NOAA, showing which parts of coastal states will be underwater if sea levels rise by 6 feet. Why 6 feet? Well, I'm guessing it's because the old saying is 6 feet under. So they decided to flip that script on its head and say now we're 6 feet over. Some estimates suggest sea levels will rise by that much by the year 2100 if climate change continues unchecked. And the science and government have been like, hey, give us trillions of dollars so we can check climate change. So we can stop the climate from changing. Man, There's such weird schadenfreude in naming it climate change. Anyway, semantics. Words are powerful. Using that data in conjunction with our database of information on more than 100 million homes nationwide, we determined which properties were at risk of being submerged, at least their ground floors, in the next century or so, and what they're currently worth. Nationwide, almost 1.9 million homes, or roughly 2% of all U.S. homes, with a combined $882 billion, are at risk of being underwater by 2100. And in some states, the fraction of properties at risk of being underwater is alarmingly high. I'm guessing no one's on the coast. More than 1 in 8 properties in Florida are in an area expected to be underwater if sea levels rise by 6 feet, representing more than $400 billion in current housing value. In Hawaii, almost 1 in 10 homes are at risk. And I would think, if you were going to add that much more water around Florida, it would cause a giant sinkhole problem on top of the giant sinkhole problem they already have. So yeah, looks like Florida would get hit the worst. Then comes New Jersey, South Carolina, Louisiana, Virginia, Massachusetts, Maryland, and Texas, plus California. The numbers are even more alarming when looking at individual cities. Given the risk that Florida and Hawaii face, it should come as no surprise that Miami and Honolulu top the list of large cities with significant number of properties at risk from global warming and subsequent rises in sea levels. But they're not alone. More than 1 in 6 Boston homes are at risk, and New Yorkers may find almost 3% of homes in the city underwater if sea levels rise in line with climatologists' predictions. It's important to note that 2100 is a long way off, and it's certainly possible that communities take steps to mitigate these risks. Yeah, it's possible, bro. It's kind of like possible that politicians will pay down the national debt and start to act responsibly. Maybe if we got communities to stop tearing themselves apart based on race, religion, political preference, sexuality, eye color, music tastes, and the kind of beers they like, then we can get communities to start acting for their own mutual benefit. But it would take one heck of a leader, or one heck of an event, or both, to get that to happen. Then again, given the enduring popularity of living near the sea, despite its many dangers and drawbacks, it may be that even more homes will be located closer to the water in a century's time, and these estimates could turn out to be very conservative. Either way, left unchecked, it is clear the threats posed by climate change and rising sea levels have the potential to destroy housing values on an enormous scale. Click on these thumbnail images below for more details on the number, location, and value of the homes at risk. And they did a study, cray. In early 2012, when negative equity was at its highest in the U.S., total dollar amount of negative equity was $1.2 trillion. Combined current value of all homes at risk being underwater with a 6 feet rise in sea levels is $882 billion. All right, so there you go. Doom, 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 doom. Soggy doom. Here you go. I have some soggy doom. Water and wind. They're good, except in mass quantity. And remember, if the poles flip or planet X comes flying through, then the year estimate is extremely conservative. Oh, also if the sun super duper freaks out or gives birth to a baby son, that could speed things up as well. Anyway, thanks for listening. I definitely think it's time for America to reunite the states and the hearts and the minds of people. And remind them we are all in this together. All right, God bless everyone, everywhere. Please, peace out. THORnews is for winners, and that's why you're here.
Some of America's biggest cities could look a lot different by the year 2100 as a result of climate change. Many homes would no longer exist if sea levels rise by just 6 feet. That's how much NOAA says sea levels could rise if climate change continues unchecked. Zillow estimates that nationwide, almost 2 million homes would be at the risk of being underwater.